Welcome back to That Dad Guy. So today we are part 2 of Ukrainian stamps. If you don't know what I'm talking about because you haven't watched part 1, here's the quick synopsis of what I'm trying to do. Because of what's going on in the world, I wanted to shed some light on the Ukraine, and I just wanted to put a positive spin on things, talk a little bit about Canadian and Ukrainian history and postage stamps. And my father is a stamp collector. He doesn't have any stamps from the Ukraine, so I thought, what better way to do this than show stamps and then put them in an album and give that as a gift after. Now, I've gone locally looking for Ukrainian stamps. We only have one stamp shop here in town, and they generally only have Canadian and American stamps, so they didn't have any Ukrainian stamps. I put a request out to the local stamp club. I haven't heard anything back yet, so I'm not giving up. I'm still going to press on, see what I can find here. I do have some stamps to show you for today's video as a result of someone's local generosity to lend me some stamps to show you from their own collection. And so what I've asked is that you guys, maybe you are in a larger center, maybe you're in Europe and you have more access to other stamp collectors or stamp shops, and maybe you can find, I don't know, 10 in a pack or something that you can buy at a stamp shop. You want to put them in an envelope and send them to me. That would be great. Be very helpful. My email is in the description of the video, but I will put it below, and you can email me and I'll give you an address and you can send them off. And whenever it arrives, I'll make a new video and show those. And then I bought a stamp album. So the stamps go in this album. At the end, I'll present it to my father as a gift. And if I get any duplicate stamps, I will send them back out into the world and other people can enjoy them as well. So that is the project, and I'll probably talk about that at the start of each one of these videos, just because some people aren't watching the old one, and that's where we'll go from there. I've tried to do this particular video a dozen times, and either there's been an interruption or I've just not had the right words, and I've decided, nope, I don't want to do it that way. So I've restarted several times on this video about how I was going to present it. And hopefully I am doing a better job this time around, and we'll get to the end. Hopefully you guys like what I show and talk about. And if you have any questions about things, leave them in the comments, and they can either be a part of the next video or I'll respond to them as I see fit. And when I have time, of course, too. So let's get on to today. We're going to start first with a little history. Did you know that the first Ukrainian settler in Canada came in 1891? They came and settled just east of Edmonton in Alberta. And between 1891 and 1914, 170,000 Ukrainians came and called Canada their home. So that is fantastic. They mostly settled in the western prairie provinces. They wanted to be closer to wooded areas, so not necessarily right on the prairies, but in areas that had trees around, because they were coming from an area in the Ukraine that they had landlords and they had to buy their lumber from them to build their houses and things. So one of their settlement requests is when they came here, they wanted to have access to their own wood. So even if their area wasn't favorable for agriculture, they would make it work. And they did. They thrived. And now Canada has the third largest population of Ukrainians in the world. First is the Ukraine. Second is Russia. Canada number 3. And we have over 1.3 million descendants of Ukrainians that are now living in Canada. So I think that's pretty cool. The other thing that's really interesting is in 1991, when Ukraine got their independence from the Soviet Union, Canada was the first Western country to recognize them as an independent nation, and only the second to Poland in the whole world. So I'm pretty proud of Canada for that, as well as we see what's going on with the country right now. Now let's flip back to stamps. We'll get away from history for a minute. So locally, Brenda Berry, who was Brenda Steves when I was growing up, lent me some stamps from her personal collection that came out in 1918 to 1923. So in that period of time, the Ukraine went from different empires. They were part of the Polish-Lithuanian specter of countries, and they had Russian influence on the other side. So in 1918, they produced their first independent stamps. Now, what I mean by independent is that they didn't have the trident, which if you see the symbol for Ukraine, the trident is on their stamps, and I will show you that here. Let me just flip the camera. So here we have the stamps that came out between 1918 and 1923. Now, there are other stamps, but these are the ones that are in Brenda's collection that she's lent. You can see they're very good condition. I'll try to spend some time on each one here. And you can see this last one here has the trident on it. I won't touch them with my fingers, but you can see the trident here again, which is a strong symbol of the Ukraine. If you look at them, wherever the stamps are, there is a trident there somewhere, whether it was up in the corners, in the middle, off to the side. But these are very nice pictorial stamps of the period when they were between empires, I guess. As history went on, if they were part of the Soviet Union, to indicate they were from the Ukrainian portion, they would overlay the trident on them. When Germany occupied them, there are some German stamps that were used, and also some Austrian stamps that were used that had the trident overlay onto them as well. So if I get them, I will show them to you. And I'm sure there's other stamps, especially from 1991 on. As an independent nation, they put out tons of stamps. Let me just flip this back around. So those 13 stamps that were lent from Brenda, I think, are a great representation, and the quality is fantastic of what the stamps look like between 1918 and 1923. Now, from a historical point of view, we will know that after 1923, they were amalgamated by the Soviet Union and became a Soviet Union nation. And they stayed that way until the outbreak of the Second World War, when Germany moved in and occupied them for a period of time. At the end of the Second World War, they reverted back to the Soviet Union, and through the new drawn lines of where nations would be. Since that period of time, they've had breakaway areas. In 1991, they broke away, became an independent nation. They had a piece of Crimea, which was theirs for a while. In 2014, I believe, Russia came in again in the Crimean War and took that section back. So there's been conflict in that area for a long period of time. And what we really want to emphasize is that there is a strong history, there's strong people and language and culture that's in there. And through the stamps that we're going to look at, hopefully through this video series, you're going to see some of the things that they're pretty proud of. So we will go through that. You guys have questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments, and I'll see if I can find the answers for them, which I will either talk about in a future video, or I will try to respond to you right away. If it's something that I think that needs to be responded to immediately, I will do so. This is kind of where we're at. These videos may be long, they may be short. It depends on what arrives in the mail and what we can talk about. But I did want to say that there is a history here, and a few days ago, our government also said that we have open immigration now for Ukrainians, and as they're trying to free their country. So it's going to be a lot easier for refugees and immigrants from Ukraine to come and take residency here. So there's a bit of recent history of what's going on and our actions in it. I guess we've made the list of unfriendlies for Russia right now because of some of the sanctions that we've put in place, stopping trade with Russia. I also want to emphasize that these videos are not in any way trying to put down or do anything against the Russian people. That is not my intention. This is purely a government thing. Putin's government is made aggressive moves and attacking and invading into Ukraine, and so that's why we're putting light on it. And my spin is just to push it off and just talk about stamps, history. We'll talk about the postal system. If I dig up interesting facts and places about the Ukraine, I may throw that in too, especially if it's relevant to a stamp I might be showing. That's what I want to do. I'm trying to bring some joy to an otherwise terrible situation that's going on in the world right now. My platform is very, very small, and I didn't know how I was going to approach it, and that's why it's been difficult sometimes in the wording of how I want to talk about these things. But through people like Brenda, who have shared a bit of their stamp collection so I can show it, we've really got the ball rolling right now. Those stamps from 1918 to 1923 were in great condition. The cancellations, there wasn't really any on them. Some of the stamps that came out in that period of time were on really, really thin paper that didn't have kind of the perforated edges. Those ones aren't an example of those. Those are the really nice ones that are cut from perforated and haven't been canceled. So they're really great to show. So thank you, Brenda, for lending those for part 2 here that we're working on. Now we wait. I don't know when the next supply of stamps from Ukraine is going to show up. So until that time, I guess what we'll be seeing is a post-crossing video on Friday showing what is come in the mail to me this week. Here we are, it's Wednesday. I do have a few things that have come in already, so that's great. I'll have something to show on Friday. On the weekend, I've got Dad Guy Answers. So it was an open category on the last one. So if you go put your comments, if you have questions in there, throw them in that one. So on Saturday, I can answer those. If that series just continues, because I keep getting questions, that'll be great. And then there's always postcards to rate. I've got one official one I got to rate now again, and I'm going to have some swaps to respond to and rate back to from people that send me mail this week. And I've also been kind of thinking about going onto the forum and finally introducing myself. I haven't done that yet. So I may do that, and if I do, then there'll probably be a few people that I'll be able to exchange some cards with. I don't want to get too overwhelmed with the amount of cards that I'm sending out, because it can be very expensive over time, but I do want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can with post-crossing to introduce myself, to be a part of it, to continue to promote the hobby. I know that there's been a few people that have joined as a result of seeing some of my videos, so I think that's fantastic. Yeah, I'm just trying to be out there, trying to enjoy things. I've had a bit of a down spell the last couple weeks, but I think I'm on the mend. Things are going much better now, and feeling stronger and healthier, which is always good. So yeah, I've got lots of ums and things in this video, but it's just that the words are just not coming to me as clearly in this video as I have in the past, and just trying to get the message across that I want to, and I want to keep it positive and make sure that people are enjoying what I'm talking about. If I find that it's not going over well, maybe the series will come to an end, but for right now, I want to struggle through and put out good content, and I've heard great things back, and some of you have already said there's stamps on the way, so I'll look forward to seeing those and sharing them all with you once they arrive. So for now, stay safe. What, Polo? You say like, subscribe, share, and tell all your friends?
Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy?